Imagine having the power to flip someone's manipulative tactics against them, leaving them baffled while you maintain your composure. That's the art of reverse psychology, combined with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, a strategy so subtle yet effective that it doesn't just punish the wrongdoer, but also teaches them a lesson they won't forget. Welcome to the realm of Dark Stoic Psychology, where control, intellect, and patience are your greatest weapons. In this video, we'll explore 6 reverse psychology hacks that will help you punish people the right way. Now, before you think this is just about revenge, let's set the tone straight. Stoicism isn't about pettiness, it's about power. Power over your emotions, your reactions, and ultimately, the situation itself. When someone wrongs you, the first instinct is often to lash out or confront them directly. But what if you could turn the tables without even raising your voice? What if you could make them reflect on their actions, regret their decisions, or even change their behavior, all while staying calm and collected? That's the beauty of these psychological hacks. They're designed not just to punish, but to enlighten, to expose, and to let karma do the heavy lifting with just a nudge from you. Now here's where it gets interesting. These hacks aren't just for handling difficult people. They're a way to navigate life with a strategic mindset. Whether you're dealing with manipulative co-workers, toxic friends, or even a stubborn partner, these techniques will equip you to respond in ways that are both clever and impactful. And the best part, the more you use them, the more you develop the mental discipline of a Stoic, mastering the art of calculated responses over emotional reactions. But wait, before we dive into these genius hacks, let me ask you something. Have you ever used reverse psychology in your life? If so, what happened? Did it work? Did it backfire? Or are you still wondering what went wrong? Let us know in the comments below, because we're all here to share, learn, and grow. And if you're new to this concept, don't worry. We've got you covered with examples, practical scenarios, and tips to execute these strategies flawlessly. Think of this as your guide to silent, strategic justice. Why confront someone loudly when you can let their actions speak louder than your words? Why waste energy on an argument when you can manipulate the outcome in your favor without them even realizing it? This is where the dark, yet profoundly empowering blend of Stoicism and psychology comes into play. And here's the twist. These hacks don't just work on others, they'll transform you. As you practice them, you'll notice a shift in how you approach conflicts, challenges, and even your own insecurities. You'll grow calmer, smarter, and more calculated, turning life's frustrations into opportunities for mastery. Imagine the satisfaction of not just winning an argument, but winning in a way that leaves the other person reflecting on their actions for days. So buckle up, because what you're about to learn isn't your average self-help fluff. These are tools for thinkers, strategists, and anyone tired of playing by someone else's rules. Ready to take control? Let's jump into the 6 reverse psychology hacks to punish them the right way. But don't forget to hit that like button if you're already intrigued, and stay till the end, because hack number 6 is a game changer you won't want to miss. Drop a comment with your thoughts or experiences. Let's make this a conversation. Have you ever been on the receiving end of reverse psychology? How did it feel? Let's talk. Hack 1. The power of agreeability. Have you ever seen someone completely disarmed by unexpected agreement? That's the brilliance of the power of agreeability. When someone comes at you with accusations, negativity, or even outright manipulation, the natural reaction is to defend yourself, argue back, or prove your point. But here's the twist. Instead of resisting, agree with them, but do it in a way that's calm, composed, and maybe even exaggerated. This not only confuses them, but also takes the wind out of their sails. People thrive on conflict, and when you refuse to give them that satisfaction, you flip the script entirely. Let's say someone criticizes you unfairly at work, saying, "You're so disorganized and it's affecting everyone." Instead of arguing, try responding with something like, "You're absolutely right. My chaos is truly legendary. I'm surprised anyone can even function around me." Delivered with a straight face and a calm tone, this response throws them off balance. Why? Because they were expecting a fight, not a calm acknowledgement that highlights the absurdity of their claim. Suddenly, their criticism feels exaggerated, and they're left wondering if they've gone too far. This hack works because it taps into the psychology of expectation. Most people are prepared for resistance, but not for agreement, especially agreement that subtly makes them reconsider their own stance. By agreeing in an exaggerated or unexpected way, you expose the flaws in their argument without ever having to say, "You're wrong." It's the ultimate power move because you're not just defending yourself, you're making them question their own behavior. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever agreed with someone just to see their reaction? Did it work, or did it backfire? Share your stories in the comments because I'm sure there are some hilarious or insightful experiences out there. And if you've never tried this before, think about a situation in your life where you could use it. Imagine the look on someone's face when you calmly agree with their wildest accusation. It's priceless. Here's another example to spark your imagination. Imagine a friend accusing you of being too stubborn. Instead of denying it, say, "You're absolutely right. I'm so stubborn. It's amazing I ever listened to anyone at all." Watch as their frustration turns into confusion and possibly even laughter. The power of agreeability isn't just about disarming. It's about maintaining your emotional control and keeping the upper hand without lifting a finger. This hack is especially effective in personal relationships where arguments can escalate quickly. Agreeability diffuses tension, and sometimes it even opens the door for constructive conversations. But remember, this isn't about being a pushover or letting someone walk all over you. It's about strategically using agreement as a tool to shift the dynamic in your favor. So the next time someone tries to pick a fight or criticize you unfairly, don't argue. Agree, and do it in a way that leaves them questioning their own words. Trust me, you'll walk away feeling empowered, and they'll walk away scratching their head. Now it's your turn. Have you ever used the power of agreeability, or has someone used it on you? What happened? Share your stories in the comments below because this hack is one of those that gets even better with real-life examples. Let's talk. Hack 2. Create the illusion of choice. What if I told you that giving people choices could actually make them do exactly what you want? That's the genius behind creating the illusion of choice. It's a subtle yet powerful psychological hack where you present two or more options, but all of them secretly lead to the outcome you desire. People love feeling in control, and by giving them the illusion of choice, you make them believe they're calling the shots, even when you've already set the stage. Here's how it works. Let's say someone owes you an apology, but refuses to admit they're wrong. Instead of demanding it outright, you could say, "You can either apologize now, or we can take some time to cool off and revisit this later. It's up to you." Notice how both options lead to the same result, an apology. By framing it as a choice, you make them feel like they're in charge, even though you've just guided them to do what you wanted all along. This hack works because it taps into a fundamental aspect of human psychology, the need for autonomy. People naturally resist being told what to do, but when they feel like they're choosing for themselves, they're far more likely to comply. It's the perfect way to steer a conversation or situation without coming across as forceful or controlling. Now, here's the fun part. This isn't just a tool for resolving conflicts. It's also incredibly effective in everyday situations. For instance, if you're dealing with a friend who's always late, you could say, Would you prefer to meet at 5 o'clock sharp? Or should we aim for 5:15 to give you some extra time? Either way, they're committing to be on time, but they feel like they're the one making the decision. It's a win-win. But let's keep it real. This hack isn't foolproof. Sometimes people might see through your strategy, which is why subtlety is key. You don't want to come across as manipulative. Instead, frame it as you being flexible and considerate. And here's where I want your input. Have you ever used the illusion of choice on someone, or has someone used it on you? Did it work or did it backfire? Drop your experiences in the comments, because I bet there are some fascinating stories out there. Here's another juicy scenario to consider. Let's say you're negotiating with a coworker about splitting a workload. Instead of saying, "You need to do this," try, "Would you prefer to handle task A, or would you rather take on task B?" I'm fine with either. Suddenly they feel empowered to choose, but either way, the work gets done. The best part? They're more likely to do it willingly because they believe it was their decision. This hack is all about the art of persuasion with a stoic twist. You're not forcing anyone to do anything. You're simply framing the situation in a way that aligns their actions with your goals. It's about maintaining control, not through aggression or argument, but through calculated strategy. And let's not forget how this can improve your relationships. Whether it's a partner, a friend, or even a child, giving people choices makes them feel respected and valued. It's a way to avoid unnecessary power struggles and keep things moving in a positive direction. Plus, it's a great way to practice your own stoic discipline. After all, staying calm and strategic is far more effective than reacting emotionally. So, the next time you're faced with a tough situation, ask yourself, how can I present this as a choice? The beauty of this hack is its versatility. You can use it in arguments, negotiations, and even casual conversations. It's a subtle form of power that feels effortless once you master it. Now, let's hear from you. Have you ever been given an illusion of choice and realized it later? Or have you successfully used this technique to guide someone without them knowing? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. I'd love to see how this hack has worked or failed in real life. Let's discuss. Hack 3. Withhold validation. Imagine you've been in a heated argument and the other person is desperately trying to get under your skin. They're throwing accusations, insults, or criticisms your way, hoping to provoke a reaction. What if, instead of engaging with them, you simply don't react at all? Welcome to the power of withholding validation, a powerful psychological hack that turns the tables on anyone trying to manipulate or provoke you. We all crave validation. It's human nature. We want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. But here's the secret. When you stop offering that validation, especially in moments when others expect it the most, you take away their power. By not reacting to someone's provocations or praise, you not only avoid fueling their behavior, but also force them to question their own actions. Without that reaction, their efforts to manipulate or control the situation start to lose their impact. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine a coworker is trying to bait you into a confrontation, making snide comments about your work. They want to see you get defensive, to justify yourself, or even to try to prove them wrong. Instead of defending yourself or retaliating, you remain completely silent or respond with a calm, nonchalant remark like, "Interesting, I'll think about that." You don't give them the emotional payoff thereafter, and guess what? They begin to feel awkward. The more you withhold validation, the less powerful their words become. They're left fishing for a response that's simply never coming. This hack works because people thrive on reactions, positive or negative. If they can get you angry, defensive, or even flattered, they feel validated in their behavior. But by withholding your validation, you essentially take away the emotional ammunition they need to keep going. They start questioning whether their insults or praise even matter, and it causes them to lose control of the narrative. It's a powerful way to neutralize toxic behavior without lifting a finger. And here's the thing. It's not just about being silent, it's about being strategically silent. You're not ignoring someone to avoid conflict. You're doing it because you know that reacting to their words will only give them the upper hand. It's a stoic approach to emotional control, recognizing that you don't need to engage with every provocation. When you stay calm and composed, you maintain your dignity while they unravel. This strategy works incredibly well in personal relationships too. Think about a partner or friend who constantly seeks validation, whether it's through constant compliments or complaints. Instead of rushing to reassure them or give them the attention they want, withhold it. Don't jump in with praise, don't offer sympathy for drama. They'll be forced to either reconsider their approach or grow frustrated. Either way, you stay in control. But let's not forget about the long-term effects of withholding validation. Over time, this strategy can shift the dynamics of your interactions. People will start to realize that you're not easily manipulated by their words, and that will force them to approach you with more respect. And this is where the beauty of Stoicism comes into play. You're not only protecting your emotional space, but teaching others how to treat you. Now, this doesn't mean you should always withhold validation in every situation. There are times when it's important to recognize and appreciate someone's effort or kindness. The key is knowing when to use it strategically, especially when you want to disarm someone who's trying to provoke or control you. It's about finding that perfect balance, giving validation when it's deserved, but withholding it when it's used as a tool for manipulation. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, remember, you don't have to give them the satisfaction of a reaction. Stay calm, stay composed, and watch as they lose their grip on the situation. You're in control. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever used this technique to stop someone from manipulating you? Or maybe you've withheld validation without even realizing it. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences and how withholding validation has worked or backfired for you in real life. Hack 4. Use reverse motivation. Have you ever wanted someone to do something so badly, but the more you pushed them, the more resistant they became? Here's a secret weapon: reverse motivation. It's a psychological hack where you subtly discourage someone from doing exactly what you want them to do, only to watch as their natural defiance pushes them straight into doing it. It's a brilliant tactic because you're not fighting against their resistance, you're using it to your advantage. Let's set the stage with a classic scenario. Imagine you're dealing with a stubborn friend who refuses to take your advice about a decision. Instead of saying, "You really should do this," try flipping the script. "You know what? You probably shouldn't bother. It's a lot of work, and I doubt it'll make much of a difference." Suddenly, their instinct to prove you wrong kicks in, and before you know it, they're doing exactly what you wanted them to do. It's almost as if their ego compels them to go against your suggestion, even though it aligns perfectly with your goal. This hack works because it taps into the psychology of autonomy and defiance. People don't like feeling controlled or pressured, but they love proving others wrong. By suggesting the opposite of what you want, you remove the pressure and plant a seed of curiosity and determination in their mind. The brilliance of reverse motivation lies in its subtlety. There's no conflict, no argument, just a clever nudge that makes them feel like they're making their own decision. Here's another example to spark your imagination. Suppose you want your co-worker to take the lead on a project. Instead of directly asking them, you might say, "You probably wouldn't want to take this on. It's pretty challenging, and I'm not sure anyone could really handle it." For someone who prides themselves on competence, this is practically an invitation to prove you wrong. By doubting their ability in a non-confrontational way, you ignite their desire to rise to the challenge. But let's be real, this hack isn't without its risks. If you overdo it or come across as insincere, the other person might see through your strategy or take offense. That's why tone and timing are crucial. The key is to sound genuinely indifferent or even thoughtful, not manipulative. And this is where I want your input. Have you ever tried reverse motivation on someone? Did it work, or did it backfire spectacularly? Drop your stories in the comments because we're all curious to hear how this has played out in real life. Now, before you start using reverse motivation on everyone, here's an important tip. Use it wisely. This hack is most effective in situations where the stakes are low to medium, like convincing a friend to try something new, a partner to take an interest in your hobby, or a colleague to step out of their comfort zone. For high-stakes situations, like career-defining decisions, you might want to pair this strategy with other psychological tactics to ensure the outcome aligns with your intentions. Hack 6. Set subtle traps. Imagine the thrill of guiding someone into making a decision that benefits you without them even realizing it. This is the genius of setting subtle traps. A psychological hack that works by planting little clues or suggestions, creating an irresistible path for them to follow. It's like setting a course of events that leads them to your desired outcome, all while they believe they're making their own choices. This technique is an art form, one that when used strategically can make you seem incredibly savvy, while your target remains completely unaware of your influence. Let's take a practical example to make this clearer. Imagine you're dealing with someone who is indecisive about an important decision. Instead of pushing them directly or making it feel like a confrontation, you subtly introduce options in a way that guides them to the outcome you want. For instance, if you're trying to get someone to agree to a meeting time that suits you, you might casually drop hints about other times that are either too early or too late. When they suggest a time, you can respond with, "Oh, I was actually hoping for a slightly earlier time, but that works too." They're now subtly trapped into choosing what you originally wanted without you ever making the decision for them. The brilliance of setting traps lies in how the victim, let's call them the subject, feels like they're in control. They think they're choosing freely, yet you've already paved the way for them to follow a path that leads them exactly where you want them to go. It's a brilliant psychological manipulation, without the manipulation ever feeling aggressive or overt. You create the illusion of control, but really, they're walking right into your carefully laid plan. Here's another example. Maybe you're negotiating something important, and you know the other person values a specific item or condition. Instead of stating outright that this is your desired outcome, you bring it up casually in conversation. You might say something like, "I've noticed that a lot of people really value this feature, and it makes a huge difference in decision-making." Over time, they begin to see this feature as something they must include, or they might start thinking it's their own idea. And boom, you've set the trap and they fall right into it, all while thinking they've arrived at the idea on their own. The power of setting subtle traps is that you aren't forcing anyone to do anything. You're simply creating a situation where your desired outcome becomes the most attractive or reasonable option, and they walk into it without feeling pressured. This technique requires patience and finesse. It's not about rushing to get what you want immediately, but about allowing the situation to develop naturally while gently guiding it in your favor. The slow, careful build-up is what makes it so effective. But let's be clear, this isn't about manipulation for the sake of manipulation. It's about strategically leading people toward choices that benefit both you and them. When done right, this can be a win-win situation. They feel like they've made an empowered decision while you get exactly what you want. It's a brilliant way to influence others without resorting to forceful tactics. Here's a tip. Subtle traps work best when you're dealing with people who have a tendency to act impulsively or without fully thinking things through. If they're careful decision makers, setting a trap might take a bit more effort to ensure it doesn't backfire. The key is to remain patient and keep things light. If it's too obvious or direct, they might pick up on your intentions and resist. But if you play the long game and set the right context, you'll find that subtle traps are incredibly effective. So, now I want to hear from you. Have you ever unknowingly fallen into a subtle trap set by someone else? Or perhaps you've set one yourself. How did it go? Let's talk about it in the comments. This hack is all about finesse, and the best stories come from real-life examples. Have you ever used subtle persuasion without realizing it? Or did you catch someone trying to manipulate you in a clever way? Drop your experiences below. I'm curious to see how this one plays out for you. Hack 6. Set subtle traps. Imagine the thrill of guiding someone into making a decision that benefits you without them even realizing it. This is the genius of setting subtle traps, a psychological hack that works by planting little clues or suggestions, creating an irresistible path for them to follow. It's like setting a course of events that leads them to your desired outcome, all while they believe they're making their own choices. This technique is an art form, one that, when used strategically, can make you seem incredibly savvy, while your target remains completely unaware of your influence. Let's take a practical example to make this clearer. Imagine you're dealing with someone who is indecisive about an important decision. Instead of pushing them directly or making it feel like a confrontation, you subtly introduce options in a way that guides them to the outcome you want. For instance, if you're trying to get someone to agree to a meeting time that suits you, you might casually drop hints about other times that are either too early or too late. When they suggest a time, you can respond with, "Oh, I was actually hoping for a slightly earlier time, but that works too." They're now subtly trapped into choosing what you originally wanted without you ever making the decision for them. The brilliance of setting traps lies in how the victim, let's call them the subject, feels like they're in control. They think they're choosing freely, yet you've already paved the way for them to follow a path that leads them exactly where you want them to go. It's a brilliant psychological manipulation without the manipulation ever feeling aggressive or overt. You create the illusion of control, but really they're walking right into your carefully laid plan. Here's another example. Maybe you're negotiating something important, and you know the other person values a specific item or condition. Instead of stating outright that this is your desired outcome, you bring it up casually in conversation. You might say something like, "I've noticed that a lot of people really value this feature, and it makes a huge difference in decision-making. Over time, they begin to see this feature as something they must include, or they might start thinking it's their own idea, and boom, you've set the trap and they fall right into it, all while thinking they've arrived at the idea on their own." The power of setting subtle traps is that you aren't forcing anyone to do anything. You're simply creating a situation where your desired outcome becomes the most attractive or reasonable option, and they walk into it without feeling pressured. This technique requires patience and finesse. It's not about rushing to get what you want immediately, but about allowing the situation to develop naturally while gently guiding it in your favor. The slow, careful build-up is what makes it so effective. But let's be clear, this isn't about manipulation for the sake of manipulation. It's about strategically leading people toward choices that benefit both you and them. When done right, this can be a win-win situation. They feel like they've made an empowered decision, while you get exactly what you want. It's a brilliant way to influence others without resorting to forceful tactics. Here's a tip. Subtle traps work best when you're dealing with people who have a tendency to act impulsively or without fully thinking things through. If they're careful decision makers, setting a trap might take a bit more effort to ensure it doesn't backfire. The key is to remain patient and keep things light. If it's too obvious or direct, they might pick up on your intentions and resist. But if you play the long game and set the right context, you'll find that subtle traps are incredibly effective. So now I want to hear from you. Have you ever unknowingly fallen into a subtle trap set by someone else? Or perhaps you've set one yourself. How did it go? Let's talk about it in the comments. This hack is all about finesse, and the best stories come from real-life examples. Have you ever used subtle persuasion without realizing it? Or did you catch someone trying to manipulate you in a clever way? Drop your experiences below. I'm curious to see how this one plays out for you. And let's not forget how this can change your own mindset. When you start thinking in terms of reverse motivation, you'll begin to notice how often resistance comes from how we frame our requests. This hack isn't just about controlling others. It's about becoming more strategic in your communication and recognizing the subtle ways people respond to encouragement versus discouragement. So the next time someone digs their heels in and refuses to listen, don't argue. Instead, try a little reverse psychology. Plant the idea that they shouldn't even bother and watch how their defiance works in your favor. It's a game of subtle manipulation that feels almost effortless once you master it. Now it's your turn. Have you ever been on the receiving end of reverse motivation? How did it feel? Did you realize it in the moment, or only later? And if you've tried using this hack yourself, what happened? Share your stories and experiences in the comments, because this is one of those tactics where real-life examples make it even more fascinating. Let's talk. Hack 5. Amplify their actions. What if I told you that the best way to deal with someone's behavior is to turn it up a notch, so much so that they start questioning themselves? Welcome to the genius of amplifying their actions, a reverse psychology tactic that involves mirroring and exaggerating someone's behavior to show them how ridiculous, ineffective, or inappropriate it truly is. This isn't just about making a point. It's about holding up a mirror so they can see the consequences of their actions in real time. Here's how it works. Imagine someone keeps interrupting you in conversations, trying to dominate the discussion. Instead of calling them out or getting frustrated, you take it to the next level. The next time they interrupt, you immediately interrupt them back every single time they speak. Do it calmly and nonchalantly, with a friendly smile, and watch as they start to feel the frustration they've been causing you. When you amplify their actions, they often become aware of their behavior in a way they never noticed before. It's subtle yet incredibly effective. The brilliance of this hack lies in its ability to shift the dynamic without confrontation. Most people aren't fully aware of their own actions until they experience them from the other side. By exaggerating their behavior, you force them to confront the impact of what they're doing, and 9 times out of 10, they'll tone it down themselves. It's like teaching a lesson without ever saying a word. Here's another example. Suppose someone is always sarcastic or dismissive of your ideas in meetings. Instead of getting defensive, you mirror their sarcasm in your responses, but with a slight exaggeration. When they suggest something, respond with an overly dramatic, sarcastic, "Wow, that's such an original idea. I can't believe no one thought of it before." Keep your tone light and playful, and watch as they suddenly realize how their behavior comes across. Amplification isn't about being mean. It's about holding up a playful mirror to make them self-reflect. But here's the catch. This hack requires finesse. If you go too far or come across as mocking, it could escalate the situation instead of diffusing it. The key is to keep it light-hearted and subtle, almost as if you're playfully engaging with them rather than criticizing. And that's where I want your input. Have you ever mirrored someone's behavior to make a point? Did they notice or did it backfire? Share your experiences in the comments. This is one hack that works best with real-life examples. Amplifying actions isn't just about dealing with toxic behavior. It can also be a tool for positive reinforcement. For instance, if someone does something kind or helpful, you can amplify their actions by openly praising and highlighting what they did. This encourages them to repeat that behavior, showing that amplification works both ways, to curb negativity and to reinforce positivity. And let's not forget the stoic element of this hack. It's not about losing control or trying to one-up someone. It's about maintaining your composure while subtly guiding them towards self-awareness. When you amplify someone's actions, you're not engaging in emotional reactions or arguments. You're calmly and strategically redirecting the energy they bring to the table. It's a powerful way to maintain control without stooping to their level. So, the next time someone's behavior starts to grate on your nerves, don't argue or react emotionally. Instead, amplify their actions in a way that's calm, measured, and just exaggerated enough to make them think twice. You'll not only disarm them, but also leave them reflecting on their own behavior without you ever having to say, "You're wrong." Now let's hear from you. Have you ever used this tactic to handle someone's behavior? Did they notice, or did it take a few rounds for them to catch on? And what about the times someone mirrored your actions? Did it make you reconsider your own behavior? Drop your stories in the comments because this hack gets even better with real-life examples. Let's dive in. Conclusion. And there you have it. 6 powerful Dark Stoic Psychology hacks that allow you to wield the power of reverse psychology like a true master. From agreeability to setting subtle traps, each tactic opens a world of possibilities where you can influence behavior, shape conversations, and even shift dynamics in your favor, all without being overt or confrontational. The beauty of these strategies lies in their subtlety and the psychological game they play. With these hacks, you're not just reacting to situations, you're strategically guiding them, keeping control without anyone even realizing it. Remember, the key to mastering these hacks is in their execution. Use them wisely, with precision, and always with an understanding of human nature. The art of Dark Stoic Psychology isn't about manipulation for the sake of power. It's about controlling your emotional space and gaining a deeper understanding of the human mind. Whether you're dealing with an overbearing colleague, a stubborn friend, or even a partner who's playing mind games, these tactics can shift the balance and give you the upper hand in the most unexpected ways. But hey, don't just take my word for it. I want to hear your thoughts and experiences. Have you ever used reverse psychology on someone? Or perhaps you've fallen victim to one of these tactics. How did it make you feel? Did it work in your favor, or did things take an unexpected turn? Drop a comment below and let's dive into a conversation about these fascinating techniques. I'm eager to hear your stories, thoughts, and how you've applied or been caught in Dark Stoic Psychology in real life. Thanks for watching, and if you found these hacks intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more psychological insights and life-changing strategies. Let's continue exploring the mind together.